Hello everyone, it is Joe here from OmniPoke, the channel that brings you guys everything Pokemon. Today we're looking at a different build of Reshiram and Charizard Tag Team GX, this time pairing it with Flareon-GX. This was actually pretty popular in Japan, and it's not really a deck that I've seen many people sort of take on and talk about too much. And it's one that I really like, because the premise is very simple. Force the opponent to take as many prize cards as possible to win, sometimes 7, sometimes 8 prize cards. And we're very easily able to force that prize trade by making them go through something like a Flareon-GX, a Flareon-GX, a Flareon non-GX, and then a ReshiZard to end the game. That sounds pretty rough, right? Or a Flareon and 2 ReshiZards. Like, that's a wacky combination that we can try and force the opponent to do if they're going to try and overcome 6 prizes and win the game. So we're going to try and literally send up just, one thing active, one thing on the bench, and we just say, hey, deal with this big threat. Then you send them another one. Then you send them another one. Then you send them another one. And make it really difficult for them to physically close out the game. And Flareon comes with a few other advantages. You get around Vileplume this way, and you're much better against Weezing because you're not getting hit by detention gas. And when we're limiting ourselves to that, we can literally just have one active Flareon, just start announcing attacks as they just hit you for 40, and that sounds really good. So if you want to have a better Weezing matchup as the ReshiZard player, this is a great list to take on. Because for some reason, Weezing is getting a huge amount of hype. Like, it's a pretty good deck, but it's getting a huge amount of hype right now. And it's played a lot on ladder. I don't know if it's just ladder skewing, how popular it really is, just because it's cheap and easy to get a hold of. But yeah, I'm seeing a lot of Weezing. So having a stage 1 in here is a really nice option to just pound through them a lot easier. So let's have a look at this deck in general. First of all, it's the Energy Evolution Eevee. Of course, this comes with an ability, which is annoying when you play a Grimm's Exploration engine. But of course, you can just Energy Evolve out of this and go straight into our Flareon-GX. So effectively, we're like a cheating basic Pokemon with this Flareon. If you're able to use Energy Evolution, you can get this guy out straight away. You're a 210 hit point Pokemon with 3 attacks, all of them pretty versatile and strong, to be fair. Heat Stage for 1 fire does 30, and you get to attach up to 3 Fire Energy cards from your hand to your Pokemon in any way that you like. So we have great synergy here with Fiery Flint to get those energies straight into our hand, and we can start getting some additional energy acceleration either onto itself for future attacks or onto the likes of other Eevees that you can put on the bench, and then because it's attaching from hand, they will then also be able to use Energy Evolution and turn into their next Flareon. So you can instantly go into like 2 Flareons in one turn if you're going second and go for that Heat Stage attack, whilst also getting a bit of chip damage in there as well at times. So I like this option. It's similar to the non-GX Volcanion that a lot of ReshiZard players are using, because it just means that you're less all-in on just a Welder itself, which is awesome. Bear in mind, you can go immediately for Bright Flames if you do go for a Welder, because you have that single attachment from hand and then the Welder for 2 energies, so you can be bursting 190 out on people. You do have to discard 2 fire energy from the Flareon, so it's not really necessarily as chainable as something like Flare Strike, but it's still very reasonable, and it's a strong attack that can knock out basic GXs and some stage 1 GXs with the help of Choice Band. We play 3 in the deck to try and dig those out, so we have some great one-shot potential with the Flareon itself, and the Welder makes it all the more reasonable to sort of chain attacks, which is awesome. We also have the Power Burner GX attack, which is 20 for each fire in your discard pile. It's, again, pretty reasonable. We have, the discard synergy from Bright Flame. We have Fiery Flint that can discard some cards. And eventually you can build towards this Power Burner if you have to. I found it more reasonable against non-GXs than GX Pokemon because, it's rare that you'll push that high in your discard pile for energy cards for Power Burner to knock out GXs, but again, going back to like Weezing, just because Weezing and Zapdos, they're decks that you just face on the ladder a good amount of times, and you need like 6 fires in the discard pile, and that's not hard to do for a Power Burner to take a knockout for just 1 attachment, and especially because we play Max Potions in this deck, against non-GXs, you will be doing like Bright Flame chaining, and then like there'll be a point where you can just Max Potion attach Power Burner, and it's going to be a nice knockout that keeps you progressing whilst also undoing damage. So it's a nice GX attack option. Bear in mind, against like other tag teams and other mainly GX focused decks, you've got ReshiZard's Double Blaze, which is still insane. So yeah, it's a GX attack to bear in mind, but not like always used or whatever. For non-GXs, we have this one Flareon in here as well. This is, I believe, a Let's Go Eevee promo. And it has Fire Spin. It just does 130 for 2 fire and colorless. Again, it's about skewing that prize trade. Make them go through Flareon, Baby Flareon, and ReshiZard for their 8 prizes to win the game. So this is part of that combination. It's basically like a free attacker if you think about it in that sense, for like ending the game or whatnot. And yeah, it also helps you get through Hoopers and stuff. So I like it as a nice non-GX option in here. Then we have 2 copies of Reshiram and Charizard. Only 2 because you actually don't like starting it too much because it can ruin our like game plan of making them take 8 prizes or whatever. You can go for like kill this first ReshiZard, then go for the Flareons in like the late game, I guess. So you make them go through 1 Reshi and 2 Flareons, which is still annoying for them, obviously. So it's not like the worst lead ever or whatever. But we would rather start the Eevee. So just 2 copies of this guy. But, you know, every time I look at ReshiZard, it just impresses me even more. 270 hit points is huge. Outrage is a great attack. Flare Strike, obviously dominating. Lots of basic and stage 1 GXs. With Choice Band, we can deal with a number of tag teams as well, which is insane. And Double Blaze, that pressure that we can put out, 200 damage on turn 1 going second sometimes is just silly. And if you have 3 additional energy, you do 100 more damage, which is knocking out tag teams. So it's just absolutely bananas. Really, really powerful GX attack option that we have here as well. And that's it for Pokemon. As mentioned, we're not really trying to set up our board at all, really. We're just trying to present threats to our opponent one by one and make them go through them for an awkward prize trade. That's the concept of this build, as opposed to the other builds of ReshiZard out there. We have a couple of neat one-offs because we are playing a Greens Exploration build for trainers. So we have the 1 switch 1 rope. Obviously, we can't chain Flare Strike, so having those switching options is nice. Also, Flareon has a 2 retreat cost, and ReshiZard has, you know, the big 3 retreat cost. So having lots of switching cards is pretty important. We are also playing 1 copy of Pal Pad. I've only recently put this in, and it's because we are very reliant on Welder, especially when you're going for a heavy Flareon-GX route, because you have to discard 2 each time. So you basically need to replenish those Welders, which I found. Also we only play 2 Guzmas, so replenishing like a Guzma or whatever could also be helpful. So I like the Pal Pad in here, basically to be like a 5th Welder more often than not is kind of what I want in the deck, so that we don't fall behind after just using Flareon over and over again. And we still have enough to push like a late ReshiZard, so I like the option of Pal Pad in here. From there, we have 2 of Field Blower. Field Blower is an insanely good card right now in the meta. It's insane against Batons on Baby Blounds and Quagnags. It's insane against Weezing with their spell tags and shrines. We only play 1 stadium, so it's contesting the stadium war against all sorts of things. And it's just very powerful right now. I love seeing Field Blower, and when you can greens to find it at key moments, it's just going to change games at times, which is excellent. We also play 2 Max Potions. Again, greens can dig this out for the right times. Again, it's great for Weezing, great for Zapdos, great for anything that's going to 2-shot into you, to be honest. The Max Potion gets huge value. It means that sometimes we can like bench a ReshiZard, people just gust it up and hit it, and we can just Max Potion and like switch out or whatever, and they've undone themselves a turn of presence, basically, and they've wasted a turn of attacking, which is great when we're trying. Like, it doesn't feel like it, but we're actually trying to be like a denial deck, really, by forcing them to take the maximum amount of prizes possible. You know, that normally happens with a bunch of decks, but people can like Guzma around it and stuff, but this build is trying very much to literally force them to take 8 prizes. That's like the mentality of this build. You'll see in the gameplay that that's the mentality of this deck. Then we have 3 Nest Ball for getting out our Pokemon. Again, you won't just like freely play these Nest Balls down. You'll do them like throughout the game when you need your next attacker ready to go. Then we have the 3 Fire Crystals for recycling fires, obvious synergy with Bright Flame and Welder and whatnot. And then we have the Fiery Flints, which is amazing for the early heat stage and also helping out for Welders and just having Magma attachments throughout the game. And even to have good odds for energy evolution, which is obviously critical for us. 4 Pokegears to help dig towards the likes of Greens and Welder. Those are our best supporters that we use on the majority of turns. We also have a couple Cynthia and a couple Guzmas just for those turns where we have the chance to not Welder, basically. Then we have the 1 Heat Factory, phenomenal stadium for any deck playing Fire Energies. Those 2 Cynthias, like I say, they're kind of supplementary just so we don't brick so much, because we, you know, have a fairly low count of draw supporters with the Greens and Welders, and you know, Welder's a weak draw supporter, and Greens isn't really drawing any cards either, so having some shuffle draw is nice in the deck. A couple Guzmas for targeting down key Pokemon, I think, with the Pal Pad as well for like late game recycle, that should be plenty. And then we have the 4 Welders, just a phenomenal card, makes us be able to chain these attacks much more easily. And the 4 Greens, also a phenomenal supporter. As mentioned earlier, it can grab like these key one-offs at nice times, the Field Blower, the Max Potion, and even just things like Fiery Flint on turn 1 and stuff is always really great. Grabbing yourself a Nest Ball for your next attacker, all that stuff's fantastic. 3 Choice Bands to make Flareon more of a beat stick, really, with Bright Flame, which is excellent. And it means ReshiZard can just knock out tag teams much more easily with Flare Strike. Things like Pikarom and stuff now go down in 1 hit. which is phenomenal. And then we just play 13 Fire to round out the build. So that is going to be the list. There's not too much I want to change, really, with it. I think Pal Pad's like the strangest card that I've added into the deck. But everything else is pretty good, I think. I think this is a kind of build of ReshiZard that I haven't seen much of, but I'm a big fan of it, actually. I think this is one of the decks that can... It really makes sense to use a greens build in this list, I think, because you can pick out some pretty cool one-offs here and there, and having the Flareon's just so good for Weezing. That seems to have popped up out of nowhere, basically. It was one of these archetypes that is suddenly, like, way on the radar. I did a poll in Facebook just like 1 or 2 days ago, and it was the most, like, I was basically asking what decks are good, and it was like the most voted for deck, and did not see that coming. So having respect and answers to Weezing is actually important right now. Looks like we're up against a Zoroark deck though, which is good to see. We can push through Zoroark pretty easily with our plethora of attackers here. We currently aren't holding on to Welder or any means of using Welder, because even if we Poké Geared, we have no fires in hand. So we probably just go for like a greens into Fiery Flint Nest Ball, play Switch, and go for a Heat Stage turn 1. That's probably what we're going for. But that's a pretty good turn. All things considered, that ain't a bad turn. Nest Ball Flint is probably what we take, depending on our top deck. They're going to DC the Ditto, and they're going to Lily for 6. Not bad at all. Oftentimes, the Zoroark is now playing water stuff, as you just saw a Dugong get thrown back into the opponent's deck. And again, Max Potion's very good for Dugong, because they'll try and set up math on us via this route. They also put down a Marshadow to remove stadiums from us. We do pick up 1 fire, which means we don't necessarily have to go for Flint, but we probably do just for the Heat Stage to actually do anything. So let's go ahead, grab ourselves a Flint, grab ourselves a Nest Ball so we can get an Eevee. We have prized one of our Flareons, but we can still use Energy Evolution, which is good. We have our other ReshiZard in deck. We have our baby Flareon, not that we need to use it if we're using one of these. We have our other 2 Choice Bands. We have Welder. Is it all of our Welders? Yeah, all of our Welders. Okay, seems pretty reasonable. Let's start off with the Nest Ball. Drop the Eevee down. I think I want to Fiery Flint away a Flareon-GX and basically have 1 Flareon-GX and then make them go for 2 ReshiZards. It's probably the best idea. Best idea I've had in a while. I want to Fiery Flint before the Poké Gear, I think, right? Yeah. We don't even need to Poké Gear this turn. We can do it next turn. Okay. So here's this. Let's evolve up. And then we can just Heat Stage for 30. And I'm going to put 1 here and 2 here. Seems like a pretty conservative route. It means I can greens next turn to guarantee a Bright Flame knockout. Seems pretty good to me. We do see our opponent evolve up into a Dugong. And there's the Slowking. That's the real threat. Psychic does silly numbers. Currently, with only 2 energy on our ReshiZard, they can't 1-bomb that. But they could 1-bomb the active with a Choice Band. They have to find Switch card Choice Band energy. Which is asking a lot, but... I'm going to see Lily and a Nest Ball. They still have a trade available. There's a Meowth. Choice Band to the active. They're just going to hit us. Oh no, they have trade first. Gets rid of a Mew. Yeah, they're just going to ride Speeding. Fair enough. the way you have to think about the Flareon is it's basically like a free Flareon, right? Because the Flareon goes down for 2 prizes, but we're still going to make them knock out 2 ReshiZards. So that's like the whole motto around the Flareon. It's like, it's free. It's a completely free GX that took out a GX for them. Completely free. Imagine that. So I need to play the Pokegear here to inform my decision on the greens. Okay, so I probably need to grab myself a Welder now. You probably need to go Flint Welder. Yeah, that's probably the play. So, because of our chip damage, we don't need the Choice Band. The Max Potion can get binned. The Dugong does the little 60, which is a little bit concerning for us, of course. But this is their only Zoroark. I mean, if they can get a Persian out, it means they can go like Guzma and 3 CE, which is the scariest outcome, because they can hit this for 120 and knock this out. That's the thing that we're most scared of right now. That would definitely be the fear. And you got to think, if he attached the Choice Band, he was doing it for that sort of play. Or she, I should say. Looks like they're just promoting Dugong, though. See a Kukui for 2. Does that get them into a Persian? No, it gets them into a Tail Whap. By the looks of things. So, if we just go Double Blaze here, I need to get... Double Blaze is really bad here, right? Because I need to also get energy onto another ReshiZard for this. If I don't attach energy to ReshiZard, how bad's that? Pretty bad, right? Let's Welder for 1. It's so risky. So risky. Okay, could I go for anything else? 4 energy in a discard pile. Other Flareons in the prize cards. This Welder sucks. Oh, sorry, this situation is not good. We need to nest, and I need to Welder to another ReshiZard next turn. This is a hard spot. What's our supporter like next turn? It's just a Welder. Okay. We have to greens this turn, so we can guarantee another basic so we don't just lose the game. Just going to attach here, and we're going to pass. Well, we're going to smack. It's not a good situation, but this 1 prize, we have to say it doesn't do much for us, right? We need to try and set up 2 prize knockouts. So he can dual Blizzard here for 120 active and 60 bench. Okay, even more active, even though they saw us just take a max potion. Sure. Let's see it. Choice Band doesn't change much. Max Potion, Welder, Double Blaze now seems a lot more appealing. As long as we find energy off the Welder. Okay. So we Double Blaze this, he comes in, kills with this. We come in, Welder kill with that, and then he has to get through 210 hit points, which isn't going to be all that easy for him. So I think we're in pretty reasonable shape right now. I should probably play around Let Loose, right? Not Let Loose, Judge. Yeah, I'm just going to Double Blaze here. So he comes in and kills with this every time. We have Welder attach, Flare Strike. So we're only really worried if he can redevelop another Slowpoke this turn. That's the thing we're most afraid of. He didn't even go into the Slowking. Wow. And he actually does play Let Loose. Holy. Wow. That's nuts. The reason we didn't play the Choice Bands is because we needed them for Fiery Flint. So I don't regret not doing it, but that was a big risk from them. They can Calm for a Zoroark. The Persian doesn't do much because we just killed a Dugong. So they have one trade now. They need to try and find energy, probably. Probably something that's quite good. Guzma. Guzma pass. This is a really bad pass, though, because Outrage kills him. Now we hit Welder as well, which is pretty amazing. Six, 7, 8, 9, 10, 200. So he's actually 10. We force him to have Choice Band with this knockout as well now. I think we just Welder for 1 on the bench. No, because we can lose to... Okay, so I still Welder for 1 on the active. Because we don't care if he comes in with this, because I can just Guzma for game. So we put 1 on each. These are inconsequential cards. Let's flint them away. Playing around Judge at this point. Okay. Outrage for a knockout. So even if Slowking takes 3 prizes here, we can just win with a Guzma. So we're only worried about Judge. I mean, if they why wouldn't they promote this Marshadow, right? They should definitely have promoted that Marshadow just for Stretcher odds to let loose me again. I guess they've already played Stretcher though. Who knows? We can see a trade. There's Persian. Again, we knocked out a non-GX, so they can't catwalk. They can Ultra Ball. They actually did play second Stretcher. Here's a Dede change, so we still could be getting hit with a Judge here. Haven't seen a Judge as of yet. But when they play Let Loose, they don't often play Judge as well. Sometimes they do, but it's a little bit rarer. There's another DC for Psychic. Oh man, they do have Judge. Yikes. Well. just Flare Strike. I believe the baby Flareon only has a 1 retreat cost. So we should be fine here. To rope for win. Oh, it has a 2 retreat cost. Crumbs. And I have no switch card in hand. I mean, I have the... Wait, can I win with retreat rope? That doesn't kill everything. But I have to grab this. For sure. Retreat rope doesn't give us game for sure. How many DCs have they played? They've played all 4 DCs, so it's only 3 Cs left. Don't really see a way I can win. I think the judge has just about got us. I really can't see much we can do here. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18 to 10. So this is enough to knock out our ReshiZard. This 2 retreat cost really sucks. We got eventually. Judge and Let Loose got us. I mean, we lose to Guzma or 3CE here. Vengeance getting over the line. Scary times. It's a real shame. We're holding game like twice there. Let's get into another game though. Obviously, Zoro Dugong Slowking is meant to be a counter to us. That is its job. Let's mulligan. Okay. Let's get into another game. Our opponent's going to go first here. We start off with 2 Flareons in our hand, which always stinks. We don't like that at all. Why does this have 2 retreat? That feels bad, man. We see a Mew. This could be a whole load of things. It's a Weezing deck. I feel relatively confident against Weezing with double max pot, double blower, and an evolution Pokemon in the deck. They're going to adventure bag. Skateboard the active. And get a fresh 6 off Cynthia. They get the turn on attachment. And it's over to us. Don't prize 2 Flareons. Well done. Didn't prize... No, we prized 1 Eevee. We have both blowers. We probably want a Fiery Flint this turn. We just Fiery Flint and get Welders. And this turn I can Heat Stage. Probably the play. So now that we've evolved up, grab this. We're just going to grab these two. I think we can get rid of these two. We have our other Flareon in our deck. Just have a handful of red. But there ain't nothing wrong with that. We're going to attach all 3 just because we discard from ourselves so much. They just have to Cynthia out the gate again. Looks like they're missing Weezing. They get themselves a Coco. And a Nest Ball. For another Coughing. Also a treasure. This could be either Let Loose or Weezing, depending on what their hand is. If they have Pokegear, I imagine it's Weezing. Yep, here he comes. Got to start splattering that sludge at some point. That point is now, apparently. And they're just going to hit us for 40. No fear of detention gas here, just the stadium. Nest Ball Energy Welder seems good. We can do that at any point though. We have 100 hit points left with 2 energies attached to us. That means we could lose to a Rotom, a Wash Rotom. Getting another Flareon just starts getting damaged by Shrine, but I think it's something that we're going to do here. It does make his splatters much stronger, which is somewhat of a shame, but... We can just Bright Flame here pretty happily. So we're playing around Counter Energy Wash Rotom by evolving this guy. But it's another Pokemon that's going to start getting shrined on. It's the only disadvantage, but So they're going to go 2 and 2. You pick up a Heat Factory, which is nice. Counter Stadium's always good. And it's going to keep us drawing cards here. Our opponent treasured away a Pokegear, remember, so they'll have a supporter in hand, if nothing else. Looks like it's a Lily. For 5 cards. There's a Ditto. Nest Ball. Gonna grab another Coughing. Treasure. Looks like it's Weezing time. Yep. Start splattering sludge for 60 damage now. Oh, we can let loose as well. Wow, he thinks let loose is more important than spell tag. I don't see why. Spell tag's a big portion of your damage. We basically draw into the same hand. You see a Pokegear. Gets them a Cynthia. Remember, they have already played a supporter this turn. So, playing the Pokegear is pretty weird. Maybe it informs their decision of like an Ultra Ball. But no, they're just going to retreat and attack. Shrine doing the business. There's a Max Potion, speak of the devil. So we'll go down to 60, 50. We might go down to 10 damage left. See, imagine how much pain we'd be in if he... if he'd kept that spell tag. So we knock this out, go down to 60. And get hit for 50. Okay, just Welder. So with the Weezing, we'll go down to 10 hit points remaining. The thing we want to draw more than anything is a energy for turn, because then I can like do some Max Potion plays and GX. Max Pot, Fire Crystal. Would only leave 4 in the discard pile. Not enough for us to GX. But maybe enough for us just to Heat Stage. We always Max Potion the active, that's for sure. I guess we'll just Heat Stage. Seems fine. We can get value out of our next Max Potion pretty soon as well. This sort of approach is very difficult for Weezing to get its value. Even with Shrine being in play for the amount of time it has. We want to try and find a green so I can start getting Field Blower. They're going to rescue Stretcher. Back some more gassy boys. The gas. They find another DCE for Ditto this time. It's their third DCE. Nest Ball out of Weezing. Or a Coughing, I mean. If they want to. Ah, here comes the Frosty Boy. Changes things up a bit. They've already attached though, right? And we discard energies from ourselves, which is pretty good. Let's grab Welder. So, I mean, he can, like, counter-catch KO this, but I really don't mind if he just does that, because that's, like, all the damage off of our board. I'm going to try and play around, let loose a little bit here, just by thinning this card that we don't need. This also plays around let loose, I guess. I don't really want to Cynthia away a max pot, it's too good. Let's just take another knockout. Frost Rotom, not the best counter energy target if you're going to be facing Flareon. You'd rather see... I mean, the better answer is the Mimikyu if you see Flareons in your meta. Just a little tip. It's the last DCE. They can flying flip. They can also instruct for a card by the looks of things. Nope, they're just going to bench him and flip. Okay. See if we can get ourselves a greens. There we go. Counter Stadium sounds good. Flint also sounds good. We want a Flint rather than Fire Crystal because A, we're deck thinning, and B, we're going for the GX attack this turn. You can see I've built it to be quite anti-Weezing, as you might be able to tell. We don't need the Pal Pad. Let's Power Burner for 140. Should make life pretty difficult for them at this point. They haven't taken a prize yet. 100 damage total on the board, so they can't do any swapping shenanigans. If they want to go for a Rotom knockout, it's just like a 2-for-1 trade, and then there's no more damage left on the board for them. Feels like we wrapped it up, guys. Feels like we wrapped it up. You know what I mean? When you can just keep your bench to this, it's pretty... It makes Weezing look like a pretty bad deck, right? Not many builds can do this. It's just... We are luckily able to. They can instruct for a couple cards after this Guzma. It's a good Guzma. Wait, what? Oh, he really wants to instruct. Wants to get some backup coughing by the look of things. And he does. I mean, this turn I could just Guzma kill this, or I could Welder kill. Welder draws us cards, right? Let's draw some cards, huh? How's that sound? We could draw towards Blower, which is good. So, that's Weezing in a nutshell. We're a little scared of Guzma, but that's about it. Not Guzma, Let Loose. That's the only thing we're a little bit afraid of. But this little 30 poke on the Mew right at the start of the game will be the way we end the game. 6-0ing Weezing. Feels good, man. Finally the Field Blower pops up, but it's a little bit too late for that. Nice. It's a pretty good feels good, man win, you know. Just embarrassing the Weezing deck. That's a pretty hard counter. So if you think Weezing's a good deck, cheers. Let's have one more game. Looks like we're up against a red stuff. This could be Baby Blounds. An interesting and potentially awkward matchup for us. Like I said, we have the double blower to try and make life difficult for them. But inherently, they're a non-GX. We're mainly not non-GX. Makes life a little bit difficult. Kick things off with a ReshiZard as well, which means we can't do the dream of going for Flareon-GX, Baby Flareon, Reshiram. That's normally the thing we want to try and do. Yeah, it's definitely Blounds. You see the baton, that's when you know. When you know, you know. Let's take some free mulligans. Some really nice mulligans, actually. I'm going to Fiery Flint first. We're not going to put down Heat Factory, as tempting as it is, because that's a bit of a no-no. Oh, we actually prize our Switch, which makes our greens have to get us a Welder for next turn. We need to respect that they can one bomb a ReshiZard. So let's do this. I'm also going to do our second Fiery Flint. Thin our hand as much as possible. Oh, sorry, thin our deck as much as possible. And we'll attach. And then we can greens to grab ourselves a Welder. For one thing. And it might be just another greens, to be honest. Next turn we can Welder, Field Blower, Double Blaze. Even with Max Potion. I think that's all we need, really. Our hand's pretty well set. As best we can for him. Let's pass. Let's see how those 6 cards, or 7 cards, treat our Baby Blounds player. Their turn can be as crazy as Welder attach 300. Or it could just be Blazer pass. Like, you really don't know. One thing we don't have that the Jirachi build does have is Let Loose. So they start with 7 cards instead of the 4. But looks like they're going to go for a greens turn 1. And greens is not Welder, which means we're not dead this turn, at least. Which is a good start. they're going to grab Heat Factory for themselves. That's why you don't put it down for them. And a Nest Ball. Nest Ball for a Blown. Heat Factory. Going to be good for us as well, of course, but they can attach and Blazer for 10. Nice. Let's start off with this. And this. And this. And GX. One thing Field Blower can't do is get rid of the Heat Factory. So they're always going to have some draw. They can Rescue Stretcher out the gate for their backup Blown. They can Heat Factory for 3. Another baby Blown. Let's see if they can get into Welder this time around. There's 3 fires in the discard pile for Fire Crystal to do some shenanigans. There's an attachment for turn. And just a Blazer. They're whiffing on Welder right now. At least the second 10 damage poke means that they're 1 energy less away from killing a ReshiZard. You know, that's the upside. There's always an upside. We're just going to continue to develop the board. Get into a silly hand size. Make sure we have the options available. Welder while we, when we have to. So that we can use greens more freely on other turns now. But remember, these prizes, you know, we still have to attack 4 more times to win, and he doesn't need to attack 4 times to win. He might only need to attack 3 times to win. ReshiZard, Flareon, ReshiZard. They stretch her again. Here's Beast Rings. Okay, this is a way they can get energies down. For their Fireball Circus. 4 energies currently in the discard pile. Haven't seen sight of any Fire Crystals just yet. They're actually going to Heat Factory. Looks like they have to dig for more fires, like recovery cards. By the looks of things. Acrobite helps them continue to dig. It's a long pause. It tells me it's either 2 very good cards or 2 very bad cards. They might just be figuring out if there's a way that they can continue to draw here. Another energy hits the bin. Here's a retrieval, so energies are coming back. They can crystal. Second retrieval. That's 200. There you go, 250 to finish our first ReshiZard off. No Baton is good news for us though. Let's thin some cards. I also want to scout some stuff. We have our other Flareon in here. So we have the question of going, do I just make another Flareon to guarantee that I don't just get like Guzma killed? Or do I just put the ReshiZard down and start powering him up? How many welders do we have left? Just the one and the Pal Pad. But I mean, this is why the Pal Pad's really insane, right? Pal Pad's so good here. So that we can just go down this continuous Flareon route. I think we just want to make a Flareon. It's likely that they do play some Gust. So let's just do this and this. Let's make a Flareon. Then we'll Pal Pad Heat Factory, because we want to have multiple welders. And then we'll Bright Flame. Well, let's see if they can welder this time around. They haven't done a single welder yet. But they need to get... So essentially they need to get 8 energy this turn. They need 5 to discard for the knockout. And they also need 3 to go onto their active. It's asking a lot. It is asking a lot. But they haven't used a single Fire Crystal yet. Which is very worrying. Very worrying indeed. They can Fidget Spinner for 1. They can Acrobike as well for more digging. Got rid of a Retrieval, so we know that's a good card, whatever they just took. It's the first Baton that we've seen. There's Fire Crystal number 1. Uh-oh. Big yikes. Pokegear for greens. That's not a welder. True story. That's not a welder. They're going to Lucamine. Okay. So that gives them a free Blazer. 10. Putting us 10 damage closer to detonation. So I think we just want to Guzma here to force them to spend an extra energy card. I think max potioning the 10 is actually worthwhile here. As embarrassing as that is. I don't think I even heat staged for attachments, you know. I think we just pass. So 8 in the discard, 1 here. Okay, here's a Flint. Here we go. Here's the next chance for a welder. Yeah, they were playing Guzma. We were right not to bench our ReshiZard. Only 1 fire energy in their deck. 8, 9, 10, and whatever else is in their hand to play with. You're actually going to Heat Factory it away. Fire Crystal. Baton. Energy Welder. There we go. I've been mentioning his name every turn, and it finally came. So they have 2 Fire Crystals left. There's one of them. took Welder and the random card. Okay, so let's have a look. They've played 3 retrievals and 3 crystals. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 energy. Okay, so this is always happening. Step 1. This is always happening. We don't need to bench that. This is Bright Flame. A small concern is the amount of deck size that we have. I can't Welder next turn. I'm going to Acrobike and greens. Team green. So there's a Baton. I think we may have just out-resourced them. We're also running out of energies though. Wait, they play a 4th retrieval. This wasn't part of the calculations. Monka S. It's going to pass, okay. It's a lot of turns for us to actually knock stuff out, huh? I'm just going to do this. Not that it really changes much. Do I start swinging? I think I just... attach attack. Sure. We have to slowly grind out our opponent here. Which is very scary when they have so much damage potential. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. They're going to Heat Factory away in energy, which can only be good for us. Also going to Acrobike. Do they have enough to get over the line? Well, looks like they do. Oh, the Beast Energy. Pog. Nice. Nice game. Oh, they don't. They don't win. Very good. That scared me. Well, that's 3 pretty cute games of ReshiZard. I think the last game actually showed how we are trying to like out-resource people. Like, we actually make them go through so much meat that it's hard for them to win the game. And I think they Heat Factoried like 1 too many times, right? They should have welded before the Heat Factory. Unless they didn't have the welder in hand, I guess. But they could have won. They were like 1 damage off, right? They were 1 fire energy away. Anyways, that was fun. The loss against the Zoro was kind of weird. I mean, we got let loose and judged at 2 crucial points, which is a little bit unsatisfying. But obviously Zoroark is trying to play water stuff to make this difficult for us, which it did. So let me know what you guys think about this list down below. How does it compare to the Jirachi build? How does it compare to Salazzle? How does it compare to Volcanion Greens? I'll hear it all down below, but those were some fun games, and I'll be back tomorrow with another Unbroken Bonds video. Cheers.